Hello, and welcome to the Trepid Technologies Security Plus course. My name is Johnny Bandon, and I will be your instructor for this video series. In this video, we will cover Domain 4.2 Incident Response. Now let's get started. An essential role of cybersecurity in your enterprise is incident response. No matter how many preventative controls we put on our network, we must always be prepared to handle a cybersecurity incident. The incident response process gives us a framework and an iterative process for responding to a malicious event in our network. The Security Plus exam breaks down incident response into 6 phases. These 6 phases are listed here: preparation, detection, analysis, containment, eradication and recovery, and lessons learned. In the next few slides, we'll break down all these phases. The preparation phase of incident response is everything you do as a security administrator to prevent an incident from occurring. This includes hardening systems, performing risk assessments, deploying software that protects our network, and conducting user awareness training. The preparation phase is really everything we've discussed previously in this course. The preparation phase is you, the security administrator, or your team, deploying a defense in-depth approach and securing your network. The Security Plus exam does not specify the most important controls of the preparation phase because all security controls are essential. However, sometimes defending your organization's network can look very different. If you work for Google or a small e-commerce company, the security controls that you put emphasis on are going to look a little different. So as a security administrator, it is essential that you identify the attack vectors in your network and work to secure those vectors. Now moving on to the detection phase. To respond to a security incident, you must first be made aware that an incident has occurred. As security administrators, we must install detection methods on our enterprise to alert us when a malicious event has happened. We can achieve this goal by installing hardware and software like IDPs, EDR, DLP, CASB, all the things we've already talked about, right? And you can establish baselines in those devices, and any activity that deviates from your established baseline can be considered an incident. You must also classify and configure your monitoring tool sensitivity so you can have proper alerts being sent. For example, if you deploy an IDS system that does AI and feed it tainted training data, you could have a system with high reporting for false positives. We need to ensure that our detection methods work for our enterprise. The analysis phase involves you, the security administrator, or your team investigating the alert to make sure that the alert is accurate. False reporting is standard if you have highly sensitive systems, and it is up to you to configure how sensitive you want your detection systems to be. As security professionals, we must treat ourselves as core competencies in our business and employ technical controls that help the organizational and business goals. The analysis phase helps us win for our business by determining if we need to start our incident response plan, which could potentially bring down systems. A true positive is an accurate report of a malicious incident. A true negative is when nothing happens. This just describes when you go through your logs and notice business as usual, normal traffic. A false positive is when your detective controls alert you of a malicious event when there really wasn't one. And a false negative is when your systems fail to alert you of a malicious event. So we are working to make sure our systems are tuned to this and not reporting a lot of false positive and false negatives. The containment phase is where you decide the best way to prevent the spread of a malicious event. If malware is spreading from a non-critical server, it may be in your guidelines to shut that server off. If you have discovered malware on a critical server that is essential to your business running, like a point of sale system, you must decide whether or not containment is the best option for the business. This is also the phase where you may conduct forensics on a machine. This is the stage where you may need to alert law enforcement of a potential incident and to start to establish a chain of custody before you start any containment or freezing services. The eradication and recovery phase, let me get this text off the screen, It's now when you begin to delete or eradicate the malware or delete malicious accounts before the recovery process can begin. As a security administrator, this phase is when you will work with the IT operations side of the business to secure your systems. Standards and guidelines should be established to show you how to conduct eradication and recovery. The lessons learned phase is essential for the incident response plan. This is the phase where you will conduct your after action report and address any problems with your incident response plan. The lessons learned phase should be where you start to improve your processes and make a point to document any actions taken that can be reused in the future to speed up or to make your incident response plan more efficient. Exercises are an excellent way to test your incident response plan before an actual live incident occurs on the network. A tabletop exercise involves key stakeholders and representatives from each department to discuss each department's roles and responsibilities if an incident occurs. A tabletop exercise will not interrupt any services on the network because it's not technical. It is just a discussion of roles and responsibilities. So a tabletop exercise won't interrupt. A walkthrough is similar to a tabletop exercise, but this exercise allows changes to be made to the incident response plan and will point out any affected parties if an incident were to occur. A simulation test is conducted on a sandbox network that tests what an incident would look like or would be like, and it trains your security team on how to respond to an incident. The Cybersecurity Incident Response Team, or CSIRT or CSIRT, should be involved in a simulation exercise. Attack frameworks can be used to help us develop tactics, techniques, and procedures against adversaries, or learn where in our systems we can implement more robust protection or prevent an attack. The MITRE framework is a government-funded organization that hosts information on advanced persistent threat actors and teams and different vectors that can be attacked on our enterprises. The MITRE matrix is an excellent tool to see what attack vectors can be better protected on your network. Check out our bonus videos where I will show you the MITRE website and how to read and use the MITRE matrix. The diamond intrusion model is useful when developing a profile for threat actors or APTs. What this does is helps you profile threat actors by first identifying a victim, which could be your enterprise. So like let's say a sector, right? An electrical sector. And then it goes through the different infrastructure and then the different capabilities of that infrastructure and where they could be vulnerable. And then that leads you to decide who your adversary would be. And then you can develop TTPs against that adversary using this model or this framework. The cyber kill chain is a 7-stage model that shows you all the points of compromise and at what points you can prevent the spread of malware. Essentially, think of this like a chain. And if you get rid of one of the links in the chain, you won't be able to move on, right? It breaks the chain and you'll be able to protect the rest of these systems in these steps. Different business plans should help guide incident response and business continuity. These business plans are essential when presenting to the stakeholders of an organization how the cyber team brings value to an organization if a disaster were to occur. A communication plan defines the roles in IT management when communicating an incident outside the organization. For example, a communication plan will designate how and who will talk to law enforcement if a data breach occurs. A disaster recovery plan is the guidelines a business puts in place in case of a natural disaster. This document will outline how to respond to a hurricane or earthquake disrupting your infrastructure. A business continuity plan is the guidelines or the standard operating procedures a company puts in place in case of any disaster or incident that brings the company offline. All right, that wraps up this video on incident response. Stay tuned for our next video. We'll be going over domain 4.3 data sources. Thank you for viewing.